I put my arm up like this, like I'm going to give him a hug.
Yeah.
And then I just right hook, just
Boom.
straight to the cheek. And he just... What's up, guys? Welcome back to the RoomateTV Podcast. Coming at you again with another episode.
This week we got the setup going, and I'm actually gonna be interviewing Shane. We're gonna be talking about his life and what he's been up to and all that stuff. So yeah, well, how was California?
Yeah, I just got back from San Diego. It was a last minute send. I found out I was going at like 4 p.m. On Monday, and I left Tuesday at 6 a.m. So, yeah, it was a little last minute send, but it was good. Just got to live it up down there, surf and whatnot. So, yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you had everything paid for you?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to have a good situation come up, and I had the opportunity to take advantage of it and send it down there. So it worked out well.
That's sick. And did you end up skydiving? I know you were talking about it.
Yeah, I was gonna skydive. I got sick while I was down there, though, unfortunately, so I wasn't able to. But I still got to surf, which I was stoked about. So at least I got to do some fun stuff.
That's good. And how'd you do at surfing?
So that's a funny story. So I used to work at a stand-up paddleboard shop, and in stand-up paddle, you have your ankle leash, but it's kind of like it's pretty lame to wear it. Nobody really does.
Yeah.
So I kind of figured it was the same thing with surfing.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's not. I found out the hard way. So I rent my board. I'm like super stoked because I've never surfed before. I've always wanted to. And I'm thinking like I snowboard, like I'm good at skateboarding. It's going to be pretty easy. I probably should have been I got humbled by the waves. They humbled me. And so I go out there, and I didn't want to go where everybody else was surfing because I didn't want to get in the way.
Yeah.
And so I go where nobody else is, and I didn't want to do the small little waves to start with. I was like, I'm not a pussy. I'm going to go right for the big waves,
Yeah.
Just send it. And so I hop on the board. I start paddling out. I get way out, probably a football field or more away from the shore.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like these like 8 to 10 foot waves, I'd say, like pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever, like,
we got the good waves coming.
yeah, it's time to go. Like, my time to shine. So I turn around, I paddle into one, and I just kind of ride it down on my stomach just to get the feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was a good feeling. I was like, alrighty, like, let's go. So I turn around, I paddle back out, and I see a big set coming, and I turn around, paddle into it, hop up, and I got on my board first try, but I was kind of a little off to the side, so I fell off. Whatever, it was my first try,
Yeah.
And so I kind of got pounded by the wave because it was a pretty decent sized one, yeah, and it just pounded me, put me under, and I came back up to the surface. I was fine, but I started looking around for my board. And I look, and it's like almost ashore. It's like a football.
Holy shit.
It's like a football field away from me.
Because you don't have the ankle thing on.
Yeah. Because I'm a stupid idiot.
You guys just went out there and sent it without like an instructor, or did you get lessons?
No, I was like, I don't need lessons. Like, I'd be better off just doing it. Like, I always think that if the less I think about doing something, the easier it is for me.
That's what you were saying when we were skateboarding, trying to teach me how to ollie.
Yeah, I think if you overthink it, it's just harder. So, I'd say
that can be true a lot.
Yeah, I think so. But so then I start trying to swim to shore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just getting pounded by waves, just getting pitted.
Yeah.
And
you're way out there without like a life jacket.
Yeah,
right?
No life jacket, no board, no nothing. And so there was a moment where I was like, man, if I don't like come in clutch here, if I don't kick it into gear, like this could be it. Like,
Actually, I didn't realize you almost drowned out there. Damn. Like, were you kind of like getting sucked out more?
Yeah. So
Like-
what would happen was, and I had watched enough surfing videos before that I knew like, okay, I need to stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just kind of tread water and chill out in between waves, and then when a big wave would come, I'd swim super hard with it and try to like have it push me up. But then once it go away, it'd pull me back out.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
scary, bro. That's how people
Yeah.
drown, man.
It really
like I
was.
literally, I was at Seaside, Oregon. Or wait, no, this happened in. Actually, I think it was actually at San Diego. That's where you were, right?
Yeah.
So I was just chilling. Me and my family were on vacation, and all of a sudden, like all these like ambulances show up, and like a helicopter shows up, and I
Jeez.
guess a kid literally drowned out in the water.
Dang, man. R.I.P.
It's tough. Yeah. Like,
it's real. It's real out there.
no, like you can't fuck with the ocean. The
Yeah.
ocean is your bitch.
The
Or
most-
you're the ocean's bitch.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the most powerful force on earth.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It definitely humbled me.
yeah, it's crazy. And it was really weird to like the family was all out there, and this kid, like their son literally just died from it was crazy to see. I've never like seen someone die in real life, but that was insane actually.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's tough,
You're-
man.
did you swim at all like horizontal with the tide? Because that's what I
Yeah.
heard you're supposed to do.
I heard that's what you're supposed to do after
Yeah.
the fact.
Oh yeah.
And so I just ended up eventually getting to shore. But yeah, there was moments that I was like, man, this could be it. This is all she wrote if I don't
All
freaking
she
work
wrote.
right here. And so I got to shore, and then this dude, he was like, yeah, you pretty much screwed yourself because A, you didn't wear the leash. Because if you had your board, you'd be fine.
yeah.
And B, I literally went to the worst spot on the beach in a bad rip current.
yeah.
And so after that, though, I was fine. I went to the right spot, and I did
Mhm.
it pretty much first try.
You did it? So
Yeah.
you got up good and
Yeah.
all that? Sick.
Pretty much first try. It was
Good.
pretty easy.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I went surfing once in Hawaii when I was younger, but we had an instructor and we were on
Okay.
these little waves. It was fun, but
Heck yeah.
yeah, that's sick that you figured it out.
Yeah, it was a
But
good time.
unfortunate that you didn't get to go skydiving.
Yeah, dude. Skydiving. Everybody needs to go skydiving. Highly recommend.
I don't know, man. It's kind of
Dude.
sketchy.
I know you're scared,
Yeah,
of it,
I'm definitely scared.
but the thing is, you're more likely to die going out right now and driving your car
That's
than you are
true.
to go skydiving.
that's true.
So
Yeah,
you got to do it.
it's just like imagine your parachute does. I know you have a extra parachute
Yeah,
or whatever, but
yeah.
that'd just be the most terrifying thing. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'll probably end up doing it since I'm friends with you. You know, you'll get
We're
me to
going.
do it.
we're going.
Tell me about your first time skydiving.
Yeah. So I went in Ritzville, Washington. And yeah, I always wanted to do it. I was super stoked. And
Mhm. Check out our YouTube video about it.
yeah, link in bio. And so yeah, I was honestly just so stoked. I was never really scared about it.
Yeah.
So I got there, I met my instructor and everything, and he
Seemed dope.
Yeah.
In the video at least.
Yeah, he was a cool dude. I think he was from Australia.
Oh really?
Yeah, he was super dope.
Cool.
And so we got everything sorted out. We hopped up in the plane, went up, and so he kind of tricked me because I was super stoked, and I was just feeling really cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Yo," so we're sitting in the plane flying up, getting to altitude, and he was like, "Yo, do you want to do the Hollywood package?" I'm like,
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, I'm like,
but tell them.
yeah. So I'm like, oh, like what's that all about? And he's like, yeah, I can tell you're like pretty cindy and like you're stoked on this. So what we can do is you can jump out of the plane by yourself. And if you're doing a tandem, you don't have a parachute on. The instructor has the parachute, and they're hooked to you.
So you jump out without anything.
Right. So I would just jump out with just myself
you.
and no parachute or anything. And he's like, you can jump out, and then I'll jump out a couple seconds later, and I'll catch up with you before we hit the ground, and I'll hook onto you, and we'll pull the parachute.
Mhm.
And I'm like, frick, I mean, I'm already jumping out of the plane. I might as well full send it. I might as well go all out. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I
you
thought
were
he
down
was
to do that? Are you insane? What the fuck?
I told him, I was like, I mean, you do this every day. I trust you. And so I was ready for it, but we got up there and he was like, dude, I was kidding. Like, there's no way we could do that.
No way.
Not...
That'd be insane, bro.
So,
holy shit.
That was kind of a bummer. I was looking forward to that.
You were actually down though.
Yeah, of course.
Holy crap.
I mean, I was already in the air, like about to jump out, so why not go even farther?
How scared were you? Like, were you like shaking at all, or were you not scared at all?
So I was like super calm and just stoked. And then,
like leading up to it, like a day before.
Well, no, like when we were going up in the plane.
Oh yeah.
When we're going up to altitude, and then so he had told me, he's like, all right, there's gonna be like 3 people ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
We got up to altitude. It's like 15,000 feet, and they rip the door open, like the whole side of the plane opens pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's just like crazy windy and whatnot. And so yeah, so he told me there's like 3 people before me. So I'm thinking like, all right, I've got a minute or 2.
Yeah.
But these 3 people walk to the door and they all jump together at the same time. So then before I know it, we're up and we're walking to the door of the plane. And it wasn't until so you kind of put your feet like halfway out the door. So your toes, like your front half of your foot's hanging out the door. And it wasn't until then, and I'm looking down, that I got a little scared.
Yeah.
And so.
But you have no choice at that point.
Yeah, at
so
that point you're committed. Yeah. And they go 1, 2, like they're counting to 3, but they go on 2 because they say if they wait till 3, people start trying to grab onto stuff and stay in the plane. So they surprise you and they go on
That's
2.
Funny.
And so then you're out. So 1, 2, you're out of the plane. And yeah, the first couple, like second or 2, couple seconds, you get that kind of stomach drop feeling like you're on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But then after that, go ahead.
You'd think it would feel like that the whole time, but I know, like you've said, it's only like the first like few like seconds, you know?
Yeah, and I thought it would be too.
Yeah.
But it's just like after the first few seconds, you're falling at, I think it's like 120 miles an hour. But
does it just feel like you're floating eventually?
Yeah, because it's like you hit like terminal velocity, and I think I could be wrong. Don't quote me. But you have like no perception of anything around you because it's just sky, and so you're falling super fast, but you don't feel like you're really going anywhere, or you're like really falling. So you just feel like you're floating there. And it's the coolest feeling ever. You're just there, and like there's just nothing else.
Yeah.
And so yeah. How you doing? Yeah, and then you fall for a decent amount of time, and then so we jumped at about 14,000 feet, and then we pulled our chute at about 4,000 feet. So you fall for about 10,000 feet, and then you pull the chute, do some little loops in the chute, and then before you know it, you're on the ground. But
that's sick. Out of like everything you've done, where does skydiving land like comparatively?
I'd say it's gotta be number 1.
Really?
To be honest, yeah.
The most fun thing, most exhilarating thing you've done is skydiving?
Yeah. I feel like definitely biggest adrenaline rush. So
bigger than playing in a hockey game?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's a little different kind of, because, you know, hockey, I've been playing hockey my whole life. I've played in thousands of hockey games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not that you don't get a rush anymore, but I'm kind of accustomed to that feeling.
Yeah.
Where it was my first time skydiving, so I didn't know what to expect, and maybe if I've done like thousands of jumps, then it might be a different story. But
well, tell me about hockey. How did you get into hockey? Because that's a crazy sport.
Yeah.
Rolling around on ice skates at like 20. How fast do you get going?
Oh man.
Like 30 miles per hour maybe sometimes, or not that fast?
I don't even know, to be honest with you.
You're going that fast
Pretty
on skates and just ramming into each other without that's just intense.
Yeah, I
But,
can get kind of gnarly.
but how'd you get into that?
Yeah, so my grandpa, he was a big hockey fan. Always took us to Chiefs games and whatnot. And nobody else in my family had ever played hockey before, but yeah, we would always go to Chiefs games with him, me and my brother. And one day he was like, "Yo, like, would you ever want to play hockey?" And I was like, "Yeah."
How old were you?
I was 4 or 5 years old. I was
Damn.
5 years old when I started.
I think my dad took me to Eagles Ice Arena when I was about that age, but I never like played.
Maybe I saw you there.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, so then
My dad used to be a huge hockey fan.
No
like
way.
big time. He actually, I'll show you after this, down in the basement, he has a ton of like cool stuff.
Okay.
Like hockey stuff. But
no
yeah.
way. That's awesome. Yeah. And so I started doing like these like learn to play hockey, learn to skate classes when I was like 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I just went from there, and it just pretty much became my life until now.
Yeah.
Up until now.
Good.
So
Yeah, that's sick. And it's you say you're playing one more season?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so as long as all this corona stuff doesn't mess it up, I should have one more year of college hockey, and then who knows what after that. We'll see,
Mhm.
but I'm stoked to get one more year in.
Yeah.
Little super senior year.
Yep. So how many fights have you been in?
Oh gosh. In college hockey, I've been in probably 4 or 5.
And whenever you get in a fight, you get suspended, right? The next game?
Unfortunately.
Which it's almost worth it though.
There's definitely times when it's worth it.
How many games do you play a season?
We play like 30 or 40.
Okay, so it's definitely
depending
worth
on
it.
how deep we go in playoffs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say it's worth it, especially in the situations. But growing up, I fought more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like before college, you did?
Yeah.
Isn't that like really bad when you're younger to fight? Or
Yeah, it's the same thing. You get a 1-game suspension,
Okay.
1-game suspe. But I was just in college. Like I'm on the, like kind of the smaller side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But growing up, I guess growing up, I was on the smaller side too. I've always kind of been on the smaller side.
Same. Yeah.
But I don't know. It was just easier back then.
Yeah. Tell them the technique of how to beat someone up in a hockey game, like how you grab their like jersey.
Yeah. Like it's a different fighting style for sure. Like you kind of grab them here, use this hand to like control them, and you can jab them with this hand, and then control them.
Yeah.
Hit them with this arm.
That's smart.
So, yeah, and it's a lot different than a street fight. Like Troy's always trying to fight me doing those spin kicks and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
if you've seen Troy on the bag, you better watch out.
You better watch out. That man's a savage. Don't fight Troy.
How did you become such a savage?
Oh man.
Like what made you the way you are? So Sendy and skydiving, playing hockey, and there's lots more that we're not even mentioning, but what made you that way?
That's a tough question. I guess I just really like to keep things interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really like to try to live my life to the fullest every day.
Yeah.
Not hold anything back.
I think it's just sick, honestly, how you live your life. You don't drink, you don't do drugs, you just live in the moment and like try to have as much fun as you can. You don't need anything to help you because you can do it on your own. Why don't you do drugs? Why don't you drink? Like, what made you that way?
Yeah, that's a good question. Appreciate it too. Yeah, I guess growing up, like my dad, when I knew him, he was like a really bad like drug addict, like drinking problems and whatnot, and that like led to a lot of bad things when I was like really young. And so yeah, I guess that could be a part of it, but overall I just like I guess I just like my normal state. And like people say like, oh, I drink to have fun or whatever and whatnot, and I always just have thought like I have more fun than anybody else here than, and without drinking and so I just, I've never really felt the need for it.
Yeah, I think that's sick and I respect it a lot.
Appreciate
it. Yeah. So, tell me a little more about, if you're like comfortable with it, about like how your dad impacted you and like what happened there.
Yeah. No, I'm an open book. You
Yeah.
know, I think like everything happens for a reason. Like everything, it happens, and like it is what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
why not?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't bother me. But
And I think before you start talking about it, like I think that obviously what your situation sucked for you probably like growing up, but I think it made you like the guy you are now, and it made you like
Yeah.
a good person, and like it even though it sucked in the moment, I think it impacted you in a positive way too.
Yeah, thank you.
Like you said, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me about that though.
Yeah, thank you. I would say so too. So yeah, just to oh man, where should I start? Should I tell the kind of funny recent story about my dad?
Yeah, you should, but you should tell them a little bit of backstory so
Okay.
there's like context.
Yeah. Okay, so when I was just a young boy, yeah, growing up, so my dad, he was just not a good dude, like really abusive to my mom. I hope she doesn't care that I say this, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. And so
We can cut stuff out if you decide later. But
hey, it happened. It's all good.
yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so just like really abusive to my mom. Not a good dude. Like I remember like times the cops showing up to our house looking for him, or yeah, I was just in and out of prison and whatnot. Yeah, I remember times like, you know, you're a kid, you hear your parents fighting in their room, and you know, you want to go in and like stop them from fighting, and going in and like seeing my dad with like my mom up to the wall with like a knife, like kitchen knife up to her neck and stuff like that. Just gnarly stuff. And yeah, is that a good backstory?
Yeah, that's a good that gives us a reason to think what you did like was justified and good. So now tell that story.
Okay. But yeah, so overall, yeah, just not good. Is what it is. But so yeah, my mom ended up getting a divorce. And then I hadn't seen him. He just kind of dipped out. Hadn't seen or heard from him since I was probably in third grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, second or third grade. And then about this time last year, or maybe like spring of last year, I got an Instagram DM from this girl, and she was like, "Yo, I'm your dad's girlfriend."
Yeah.
Which was really weird because my dad's like 50, probably by now.
And how old was she?
Yeah, she was. I think she was 26.
Damn.
And like, yeah, she
runs in the family.
Yeah, she. Honestly, I was like,
not that he dates people half his age, because that'd be really bad since he's 22. Yeah,
11-year-old.
No, I'm just saying. Never mind. Just explain the story.
And so, yeah, I was like, geez, like, I mean, good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and she's like, yo, I think it'd be really cool if you met up with your dad. Like, he would really love that.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of contemplating it for a few weeks. Like, dang, should I do this? I was thinking on it a lot. And this whole time I'm planning it out in my head, kind of, and I'm thinking, like, I'm going to walk up, I'm going to punch him, like, knock him out, and then I'm going to wait for him to get up, and I'm going to tell him, like, that was for my mom, that was for my brother and my sister. Like, now I'll talk to you.
At first, I remember you telling me at first you were thinking, no, I'm not going to talk to him, but then, like, you thought of this idea. Right. And then you're like, maybe I will talk to him.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, at first I was like, you know, why should I give him the time of day? Like,
yeah,
he was, you know, didn't care to reach out to me for X amount of years, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, then I was like, to me, I really wanted to like stand up for my mom, stand up for my brother and sister. Because it really, the whole situation really, yeah, like you said, I think made me who I am, and like made me better overall. But I know that, and it doesn't really bother me or didn't really hurt me, but I know that it, you know, wasn't the best impact on the rest of my family.
Yeah, and that probably hurts you. That it hurt your family.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So it did impact you in a way.
In a way.
Yeah, oh man, I can't even imagine. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to kind of stick up for my family.
Yeah.
And in a way just kind of prove how
far you've come and how
good we turned out.
How good of a guy you became in your family and your brother and sister and all that, and mom.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then I'm thinking like, all right, yeah, like maybe I'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so she reached out to me again a couple of weeks later, and she was like, yo, this coming, I think it was like a Friday night or something, is your dad's birthday. I think it'd be like really cool if like as a surprise present, like he got to see you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking about it, and I remember I went to the gym right before, and I'm working out, and it was one of like the best workouts I've ever had. But yeah, so I'm thinking on it, and finally I'm like, you know what, like, screw it, like, let's just go for it.
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna send it. And so I was with my buddy Blaine, because
Blaine's a great guy.
Yeah, great friend. He just was a little sketched out about me going alone because my dad's like has a violent criminal record and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so yeah, good friend. He came with me, and he has a pretty nice Mustang. And so
you pull up in that.
Yeah, so we pull up in that, and we pull up. They wanted to meet in a bar downtown, but I was planning on punching him. I didn't want to meet in the bar because I didn't want to get in trouble. And I had told her, I was like, yo, just so you know, I'm gonna walk up and I'm gonna punch him. Don't be like calling the cops or anything.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, yeah, like he'll understand. And I'm like,
I mean, he better. Holy shit.
I'm like, well, all right. And so I pull up, and super loud Mustang. I'm like revving the engine.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes walking out, and she says what up or whatever. She's like, all right, I'll go get him. So she goes back into the bar, comes back out to the parking lot, and I'm sitting in the car, and I see him walking up, and I'm just
blasting the music too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Some 6ix9ine, just getting pumped.
Yep.
And so he comes walking up, and I hop out of the car, and I go walking up to him, and I put my arm up like this, like I'm gonna give him a hug.
Yeah.
And then I just right hook, just
Boom.
Straight to the cheek, and he just like it literally just felt like his cheek like disintegrated on my hand, like, and he just
onto the ground.
Hits
Damn,
the ground.
Dude. That is the most savage, awesome story I've ever heard. Like when you told me that, I was like, okay, this guy is dope. Like, because that's when we first met. When you told me that story, or like probably like a month after we became roommates and like first got to know each other. And that is so awesome that you did that for you and your family, and you just showed him who the fuck is boss. You know, like that's so dope.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
And what did he do after that?
Yeah, so then he hit the ground, and it kind of took him a couple of seconds to kind of come to. Like he was pretty shooken up, and he finally came to, and he stood up and he started coming at me trying to fight me, and I was like, buddy, like, are you sure?
Did you just see what happened?
Yeah, I was literally like, did you not see that? Like, are you sure you want to fight me? And then he was like, ugh. And like, he was like, no, whatever. And he was pretty pissed. And so then I said what I wanted to say. I was like, you know, that was for my mom. That was for my brother and my sister. Yeah. Like, now I'll talk to you. But it didn't really set a good precedent for the conversation.
Yeah.
He didn't say much. And so we talked for a couple minutes and then split ways. But the funny thing was, I didn't want my parents to know or any of my family to know because I thought they'd be pissed at me about it. And then I get a call from my stepdad a few days later, and because my dad's face by the time we left, it was pretty messed up. Like there was like blood marks from every knuckle on his cheek, and it was already like turning black and blue.
Damn.
And so I get a call from my stepdad. He's like, yo, did you see your dad recently? I was like thinking, I was like, frick, like, how would he know?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's no getting out of it. I was like, yeah, what, like, why? And he's like, well, your uncle, which is my dad's brother, and he's a good dude, but your uncle saw him, just happened to see him around town, and asked what happened to his face, and he said that you beat him up, and I was like, yeah, like, that happened. And it was funny because I thought that they would be pissed, but my stepdad, he was super stoked. He was like, you're my hero.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
And so it was nice to have the backing from my family. Like, my brother was just mad that I didn't let him come and whatnot. But yeah, overall I felt really bad about it, but overall it ended up pretty well.
Think that it was completely justified. Like, I would want to do the same thing. I don't know if I would have the guts to do it, but I would definitely want to. And I think that most people would agree that it's fine that you did that, and it's actually dope that you did that. So
yeah, thanks, dog.
But yeah, that was, I mean, the first real episode of the RoomateTV podcast. With this new setup, we're gonna have a lot more coming. Shane's going to be talking to people. I'll be behind the camera back there. I'll still have my own mic, though, and I'll be able to take part a little bit in the podcast. But, yeah, we're going to have more episodes coming, probably about once a week, you think?
Yeah, at least once a week. We're having some fun with it, so we're going to keep them going.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.